A new YouGov poll reveals that 1 in 3 Brits support the current protests to some degree, but only 7% support the escalation of these protests into violence. The riots are, of course, deplorable, but do they reflect widespread frustration with the uncontrolled migration?
I think it's more than that, Gabriella. I think it's really the underlying cause is 14 years of the Tory elite, the posh boys, if you will, that really didn't take their electorate seriously, didn't really listen to them, failed on all of their promises, gaslit everybody during that process to how well they were doing, how hard they were working for us, and what great results they were getting when any fool could see that they weren't delivering what they had promised and that the country was going to the dogs. And when that was followed by 3 weeks of labor, pretty much showing that it's not going to be much different, in fact, probably worse, by also going off on a really serious left-wing woke rant about free speech and showing a very open door policy to unlimited immigration. That's where the immigration comes into it. I just think your average British bloke said enough is enough. You know, I love this country because it's so tolerant. We have the greatest eccentrics in the world here. You can live with your eccentricities in Britain and people just let you get on with it, and they're even quite amused. But when the Brits have had enough and they blow, oh, there's no going back, and that's what's happening now.
I'm also hearing reports of people choosing to leave London at the moment. We'll wait and see what happens. But let's take a look at some counter-protesters that have been filmed. This person was filmed appearing to be carrying a knife.
The activist I spoke to has been able to access one of the far-right Telegram groups, and he saw on that a suggestion that there might be a far-right protest in this part of Birmingham around this time.
Roger, it's just terrifying.
And that picture, that video, which has gone viral, almost every time it appears carries the caption that the police were not far away and did nothing about it. This is the two-tier policing that they're complaining about. I mean, can you imagine somebody standing around with a weapon like that and a policeman seeing it and not doing something? Now, if that had been a white Brit in a t-shirt and a pair of jeans, he probably would have been clunked over the head and arrested.
Keir Starmer chaired another emergency meeting and he vowed that those involved will feel the full force of the law. Here he is.
Over 400 people now have been arrested, 100 have been charged, some in relation to online activity, and a number of them are already in court. And I'm now expecting substantive sentencing before the end of this week. But the message has to go to those who are involving themselves in this disorder, which is you're wrong, you shouldn't be doing it, and you will feel the full force of the law, as I hope we've been able to demonstrate with these swift prosecutions.
Roger, what's your assessment of how the Prime Minister has been handling this?
Very poorly, I think, is mine and the general assessment. I'd like to see a breakdown of the statistics of the 400 people who've been arrested, you know, just what camps they're actually in, because I think there's, as widely reported, a tremendous prejudice, as I say, against your average working class Brit who he's characterizing as a far-right thug. And as to immigrants and other people not of original British origin, I think they're being quite lenient. He's also starting to make noises that are very threatening about free speech, it seems. Certainly some laws have been passed that affect free speech as it was protected in universities. And I saw something this evening that you can actually be arrested if you pass on a video on the socials that they don't like. That if you pass on something that involves what's going on, that can be classed as a crime. They can knock on your door and arrest you, apparently. I don't have the details, but there was some allusion to that. And it's scary. It's very much like in Australia, where Albo made a speech the other day, really not dissimilar from Keir Starmer's, and it was followed by, I can't remember, one of his colleagues who said, unbelievably, like 1984, now, if you know anybody, among your acquaintances who is talking and expressing extreme views, please call this national security hotline number. I mean, it was unbelievable. So both places are it looks like they're cramping down on free speech.
Okay, I'll look into those reports that you're referring to. Let's talk about Nigel Farage, because he's had to ramp up his security after being blamed for the violent riots. Here he is.
Personally, I have to say I'm pretty disgusted by comments made by people like Andy McDonald from the Labour Party, Anna Soubry, former Conservative MP, broadcasters like James O'Brien on LBC, calling these Farage's riots. People saying, actually, I've been orchestrating, organising, encouraging the riots. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. And because of that level of incitement to hatred against me, I've had to have a very significant change in my security situation over the course of the weekend.
Roger, it is so concerning. Where do you see this going?
I think there's two things involved with Nigel Farage, Gabriella. I mean, first of all, it's very convenient for his political opponents to be able to attack the success that the Reform Party is having with the electorate by conflating them with what's going on out in the streets. And because they are opposed to unlimited illegal immigration, claiming that they are the cause of these riots. Put the two and two together, it's kind of like proving that you don't, you don't beat your partner, or whatever that old saw is. And then, of course, the other thing, there are a lot of people that don't like Nigel because he is very confrontational and controversial. And again, this is a good excuse to attack him for that. But I don't think many people can point to much direct evidence of anything that Nigel or Reform has done that have caused these riots, other than to be against, illegal immigration. But, so are most of the people in the streets, it would seem.